We are discussing, and we'll talk with Mike Richmond about this at 8:15 for the Daily Ticker of Locked On Blazers podcast. We'll get to the mail sack as well, so get the mail sack questions in at the fan text line. You can put them in the YouTube chat as well or on Twitter.
We'll probably go a little bit earlier with the old mail sack today.
Okay,
Dirt's
got the mail sack.
15.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out if I want to do it at
All right.
7:45 or 8. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Oh, a crunch time mail sack?
I might do a crunch time mail sack today. We'll see. We'll see how the sack looks.
I might be in on that. So we'll talk about this a little bit more, but Cronin gets the extension, and I asked for the break. The vision. The term vision was used quite a bit yesterday. We see the vision. Oh, look, this is the vision. The Blazers agreed with Cronin because of the vision. And I found a couple things kind of interesting as I think he's been very back and forth. I think there's been things where I'm like, what? And then there's been things that I like that. Notably, I loved that they got Toumani Camara in the trade. Did I think Toumani Camara was going to make All-NBA this year? No. But in watching some of his draft stuff and seeing some of the, I liked it. I thought that was a smart move. And man, was he even better than I thought he would be. Denny, good player. I'm not going to sit here and also say that, you didn't pay a lot for Denny Avdia. You did.
You did.
But did you know his contract's a de-escalating contract?
He's got a good
contract.
deal. He's got a great deal.
So there's been good things. I also found some of the draft stuff very interesting. Baby Kobe's my guy. Scoot Henderson, I have not sold any stock on. And the Klinger, I've wanted him to play more than 10 minutes the entire season. I also find it funny how we're saying those three draft picks, and we're almost, not we, but the collective yesterday felt like they're almost just saying home run hits. I'm like, well,
no.
If I'm being very honest,
none of them are a home run.
Shaden has been so up and down.
Yeah. You can say there's still potential there. I'm not giving up on it, but to say it's been a home run is laughable.
Scoot is the number 3 pick in the draft. Okay, that is the perspective you need when talking about Scoot Henderson. That was a, quote, generational player.
We can't not take this guy. He's
according to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, second year. And it's like, yeah, well, he's still not amazing.
He's had moments. He's young. I'm giving him time, 100%. But it has not been a home run.
And Donovan has definitely had moments where it's been good, and Donovan's had moments where it's like, might be like an 8-point a night, 2 blocks, 20 minutes.
Are you a 10 and 10 guy? Can you be a 10 and 10 guy?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope. But I just find how we're phrasing and setting it all up very interesting. And I want to read this real quick before you go. This was written by Sean Highkin at the Rose Garden Report, which I'm a subscriber of. And he was talking about how the Blazers basically are saying they see the vision with Joe Cronin, which is why he gets the extension. They also overperformed this year. So, hey, get to point to wins and say, look what I did. He writes this, and I found this interesting. Recognizing that tanking for another high lottery pick is no longer realistic with this group improving as much as it did this year, and making roster upgrades to further that growth and push towards the playoffs, but not going so far in that direction that it boxes them into the exact kind of long-term purgatory they were in for most of Lillard's prime. And what I would say is, one, I don't agree with the first part of that. There's nothing about this roster that says you should be giving up on a high lottery pick. But two, I find interesting, I've been just as critical of Neil Olshey as any person in this market, okay? I didn't get fired by Neil Olshey the way Isaac did. But I saw it and was like, no. We were substantially more critical of Neil Olshey, in part because of his personality type.
Without a doubt.
And that dude at least had a first, second round team every year, had a Western Conference Finals appearance. This team, when was their last playoff? 2020? 2021?
Yeah. The loss to Denver, I believe, where Dame went off, and they lost in 6 games in the first round at Denver.
They are approaching, 4 years of no playoffs.
And have had 3 top 10 picks in a row, and I don't know if you feel confident about building the franchise around any of those guys.
And all I'm saying is there's really not a lot of criticism publicly about him, but the last guy, he didn't win enough, even though the franchise is not currently really winning.
Yeah, this is where, you use the word vision, and I know they used it a lot yesterday. I just want to ask the question, and this is where I'd love to, what is the vision? What's the plan? Because if you would have asked me at the end of last season what the plan is, I would have been, I get it. You're tanking. You're in a rebuild. You're hoping that one of these draft picks hits, and I don't disagree with the strategy. When you're in Portland, You only have one pathway to find a superstar player, and that is to get him through the draft. That's it. You're not signing him in free agency. You're not trading for him. So I understand the larger vision there. This was the first year. Well, not really. I had gripes in the last 2 years about certain players and roles that guys were having. This was the year that it came to a head for me, because if that truly was your vision of we're rebuilding, we're going young, I didn't understand the desire to not trade Jeremy Grant last offseason when there were offers on the table reportedly for him, and you could have moved off of him. I didn't understand the idea of having back-to-back top 10 picks used on a point guard and a shooting guard, and then keeping the other guard on your team and Anthony Simons, and making one of, if not both of those guys, come off the bench at times in their third or respective second years in the NBA.
I mean, he's the new CJ.
Exactly.
He's a combo guard that they drafted.
He's
and
in between, and they don't want to get rid of him
yeah.
because he's our guy, and we can't get rid of him. I didn't understand the idea of holding on to Robert Williams, who, when you drafted a center in the top 10 last year, and you have DeAndre Ayton, who you can't move because the contract's not great, there was a little bit of interest in Robert Williams, who's a good player, but that he has health concerns, and maybe if we keep him, he's going to get hurt again. Like, I could have seen the vision more if you would have made the moves to show me that that was the pathway that you wanted to take. Now, to the point about being in purgatory, I do think you've boxed your way in. Like, and part of it is his own fault because he was good and getting Denny and good and getting Kamara. They have grown. Certain players have grown, and you have now elevated out of the position of being one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA, likely next season.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, what is the pathway next year? Is it just to be the same little team and we say, hey, we were an 8 seed this year, this was fun? Because that's my biggest fears. That's all they want. That's all they care about.
Are you looking at the standings right now?
I'll pull them up.
So, okay, when you pull up the standings, it's interesting. Swag sent us this information, but I saw this on, I think it was NBA, the ESPN NBA show. 7 teams can be the 3 seed as of today. 7.
7, yeah.
And 6 can be 4 through 8. It can be any one of the 6
Very
teams.
jumbled together.
And so all I'm asking on the back of this team is showing that they're no longer a high lottery pick team because they've grown so much. On that narrative, I'm asking, what team in that race are they jumping? The Lakers got Luka.
Yeah.
The Mavericks are going to be better next year. The Timberwolves are going nowhere.
The Mavs I would be curious about, because how long is Kyrie out for?
Probably
next
most
year?
of the season, but AD's going to come back healthy. I'm sure they're going to make a move of some sort.
Really, though?
They're better than us.
I know they are.
They're better than us.
They're 3 wins better than you right now.
The Grizzlies, I would assume.
The Clippers.
Are the Kings going to be better than you next year?
Maybe, maybe not. They're a wild card every year to kind of be at the bottom of that thing.
The Suns are a question mark based on what they do.
I don't think the
Suns are going to blow it up.
Yeah, well, the Suns should blow it up.
Yeah.
But you just kind of rattle it off, and it's like, well, then who are you passing to make the 8 seed?
Here's what I would say. I don't disagree with the overall take. I'm just saying injuries happen, one.
Sure.
Like, Dallas' season has imploded.
Could also happen to you, too.
It very well could.
Yeah.
I mean, they are right now the 9 seed or the 8 seed. The 9 seed in the West right now is 39 wins. You have 35. So, I mean, you're looking at to be in the play-in next year. That's a difference of 4 wins.
Right.
And that's manageable. I'm not saying you're going to jump in and be a 6
So the
seed
expectation for next year
That's what I'm asking.
is the play-in?
That's what I'm asking. What's the vision? What's the plan next year?
Play-in with no top 5 pick if they don't hit the lottery.
And if Wemby is healthy, if he solves his,
Thank you. Yeah,
his issue, how much better are the Spurs going to be?
Well, they're better than you. They are. They're better than you.
Yes.
And next year, if I had to bet right now, my money would be on them drafting whoever they draft at the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pick.
Well,
and not making any. I think Anthony Simons will still be on the team. You're not trading Robert Williams this offseason.
I mean, you have to trade
We've said that for 3 straight years.
I understand.
We've said it for 3 straight years.
It didn't make sense 3 years ago. 2 years ago, it started to make sense.
It did. They drafted guards in back-to-back drafts. They could have traded him.
No, 3 years ago, it didn't make any sense. 2 years ago, I'm with you.
Sense.
It started, and then last year it was like, yo, and then it was like nothing.
He said at the
exit
contract's
interviews, expiring.
I don't want to be here anymore.
So you're either going to extend him and you're going to keep running this 3-guard thing, and your number 3 pick's going to come off the bench next year in his 3rd season.
That makes sense this year, let alone next year.
Your number 7 pick is still coming off the bench in his 3rd season. So what's he going to be in his 4th season?
He doesn't play hard enough on defense.
This is where it's mixed of like the good and the bad. Well, you got Denny, you got Tamani. Yeah. Ayton. Ayton barely plays. Yeah, I guess. Rob Williams. No, I'm not counting that as something. And by the way, the most overlooked thing of all of this, they signed Gary Payton II to their mid-level and basically tail tucked between legs, had to trade him for second-round stuff in the season that they had just signed him.
Yep.
Like, that didn't get enough talk.
Nope.
Your mid-level guy instantly was not a fit, and you had to trade him for some second-round stuff.
Look at you, angry pants.
Well, no, I'm trying to be honest and fair. I think the idea that, like, you can clear-cut see the vision.
No, there's
Please
no
define the vision, because your vision would have to be Scoot hits, Shea hits, Tamani is already hit.
That's what they're hoping. That's
Denny
their prayer.
is hit.
Or a 3% chance of the lottery
And
hits.
the Klinger hits.
That's
and if the
prayer.
lottery hits,
yeah.
that's the vision. But if the lottery doesn't hit in your way and you stay relatively where you are, the math says you're not getting an all-star. It's just the history. It's not me. It's the history. Your point guard is not generational, but he's not bad. Your two guard is still going to go into the offseason with me wondering, is he ever going to take that next step? And after that, it's going to be, what?
I mean, you'll have slight improvements. You'll probably be maybe around 500 next year because that's not that big of a jump to make. That'll be good enough to be in the play-in. And the sad reality is, and this is why I bring it up constantly, for 80% of this fan base, that's enough. That's enough. And that's going to keep them buying tickets. It's going to keep them engaged. And this is my larger overall point. I connected them to the Mariners yesterday.
You're an angry East Coast sports fan.
I am. I want to hold my teams accountable for shortcomings, and I want them to be competitive, and I want to have a long-term vision, and I don't think they have a long-term vision here.
So
I think they just want to do enough. I think they want to do enough to be relevant and competitive, because what did we see this year as the year when they won 10 games in a row or 10 out of 11 or whatever
11,
it was?
Yeah.
What happened to the Moda Center, Sprague?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to it? That's all that's it.
Yeah.
That's the end game. This is a business. At the end of the day, I don't think there is a...
So you think they want to do what Heiken's saying they don't want to do? They just want to be a playoff team.
I think they're perfectly fine.
And that's cool.
I think that was the push in the last regime as well from Neil Olshey. We got Damian Lillard. Let's be a 6 or 7 seed.
Well, maybe he sniffed his own farts a little too much.
Maybe occasionally we'll win a playoff series, and look at that. Rip City Fever, baby. I think that's their thought.
What do they do with Chauncey? That's the next big question,
Yeah.
is it not? Like, do you extend Chauncey Billups? Does Chauncey Billups earn an extension? Or is that thing... Are they going to move on from each other? There is... I'm not... Overall, my point is this. I totally understand why you extend him. I'm not suggesting you don't. I'm just saying, like, it needs to be said and it needs to be pointed out. Like, being fair about this, there's been some good, there's been some questionable, and there's been some bad.
And what's the pathway out of purgatory? What is the pathway and the vision to get out of the lot of life you're in right now, where you're not bad enough and you're clearly not good enough?
You hope that some of your trade assets actually garner real stuff, and you hope that the lottery balls bounce your way high enough, I'd prefer flag, to go get whatever that player is that makes sense for your roster.
I know we're against
whoever Mike Schmitz really likes.
This is what I would say.
That's who's going to make that pick.
You brought this up before. Do you if you sell me a vision, I'm okay with it. I just want to know what the long-term plan is. Do you go the Cleveland route this offseason, where you say, hey, we've added some draft picks, we've accumulated young talent, we have future Milwaukee picks, we're going to have the 10th, maybe let's just say, overall pick in this year's draft. Let's go get our star. Let's go get Donovan Mitchell in a trade. Let's make that move to put a star around young play. Like, that's where I just want to know
who's the star.
I don't know.
I've thought about this a million
I don't know who's going to be
times.
available.
Maybe it's Devin Booker, but why would Phoenix says they don't want to trade him?
They don't want to trade him. I think they should, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
It's a different conversation. Look at us going way over. Would you shut up?
God, stop talking.
I don't know. Maybe we have a little bit more on that. I find the conversation very interesting, as if like this is a playoff type team is the way people talk about him.
Because,
kind of my takeaway from yesterday. And it's like, they're not going to make the playoffs again.
Nope.
And they're not good enough for a good pick in a good draft.
It's the exact spot you don't want to be.
It kind of is. I mean, you just got to be
honest. You're not good enough,
about
you're not bad enough.
So we'll see. Maybe the balls will bounce their way. The Blazers extend Joe Cronin, multi-year extension. So Joe Cronin will be here. He will have to navigate the coaching situation with Chauncey. Will Chauncey be back? Do you want Chauncey back? There is a lot ahead for them, for the Trailblazers, but they have overperformed, and so that has earned Joe Cronin the extension.